For the past couple of years, I've been the regional editor of the CN Radio Group, which is a cluster of commercial radio stations. They have 5 stations in the Midlands at the moment. So looking after a team of 11 broadcast journalists, all of them on air at various stages in their working day and sort of weekly working pattern. I'm actually off to Pastors New fairly soon to work for an American organisation called Internews, who are basically the American version of the World Service Trust. They work in international media training, so again very much focusing on journalists, not just their written journalism skills, but their broadcasting prowess and things like that. The use of voice in commercial radio or any radio broadcasting is hugely important, and it's actually, I think, often underestimated by trainers in terms of the degree training that journalists receive, and also radio companies themselves, and something that they could focus on a little bit more really. Good tonal quality of voice is clearly important from the listener's point of view, but when we're talking about newsreaders and news broadcasters of any sort, or anyone who's delivering any form of information, quite often scripted information, the way that they're using their voice is absolutely essential. Stresses on words, positive use of inflection actually guides the listener through that material, because of course in the radio medium you've only got the voice to rely on. Use of voice, I think, in any business field is essential, particularly for people dealing with clients, corporate contacts, or if they're in civil society organisations, just any members of the public. The way that they use their voice and the way their voice is perceived, again, mustn't be underestimated. I think it's the difference between somebody feeling that somebody's competent at their job or not, quite often knows and understands what they're talking about, and too often, when you think about your own personal experiences, either maybe with telesales or experiences with call centres, the way that people in these institutions are using their voices sometimes isn't great, and I think that leaves people with a sour taste in their mouth, and they're not necessarily sure why, or can't identify that it's the voice that's been a problem, but quite often that's what it is. More recently, I've spent a bit of time with Scylla working on vocal protection, which is vitally important for anybody who's using their voice on a day-to-day basis. Understanding the physical mechanics of voice production and the parts of your anatomy effectively that you're using to produce your voice, and then how to protect them going forward. I was personally interested in that, not just because of my professional interests, but I found myself at one stage a couple of years ago where I was appearing in a show on stage. I was a member of a choir for my sort of in my own leisure time, and I was using my voice professionally on air as a newscaster as well. And quite often, after choir practice on a Friday night, I didn't feel like I had an awful lot of voice left, and I was very concerned that they would actually, if I sustained this pattern, that there would be some long-term damage there. So the work that I did with Priscilla on vocal protection really practically helped in developing some techniques that I could craft into my day-to-day routine, whether or not I was using my voice professionally or for performance on that particular day. But actually to safeguard my voice and to make sure, for example, if I got a cold or something, that I would do the necessary things to make sure that I didn't overstretch my voice and damage it on those occasions. Previously, I worked with Scylla extensively on good use of voice in terms of performance, as we've talked about the importance of that in broadcasting and newscasting, my own professional area of interest, but of course they're techniques that can be applied across the board. Absolutely. There's nothing terribly highbrow or complicated about this at all. It's designed to be, in terms of vocal protection, something that anybody can use at any level, not necessarily all degrees of it, but certainly elements of it to suit their own daily working patterns and how they are going to use their voice in their professions and in their daily lives. And in terms of the performance side of using voice, that's something that you can take as far or not so far as you really want to, depending on how much you're going to be using your voice in the front line. Priscilla's had a huge impact on me as an individual. I've actually known her since I was a 7-year-old boy when I first went to her drama school for lessons, and sort of, that was going back to days of just Saturday drama club. But actually, I've grown with her and been involved with her on and off throughout the development of my professional career, and worked with her on a range of projects. One thing that is consistent in Priscilla is that she makes sure whoever she's dealing with, however old they are, from whatever setting, business setting or otherwise they may be coming to her from, that people actually come away with a proper learning experience that really makes a difference. She's incredibly thorough and rigorous in her training, but she does it in such a way that you actually don't realise she's doing it at the time until you walk out of the door at the end of the day. And that's what I really admire about her. Solid, consistent in the standard of the training that she provides. It really is quite faultless. I think it's vocal performance for me. It's having the confidence that when I speak to somebody on the phone, quite frankly, or when I'm using my voice professionally, that actually I probably sound as if I know what I'm talking about. And that might sound a slightly arrogant thing to say, but actually I have confidence in my own vocal skills, and I think Scylla's helped tremendously with that. I would say think long and hard about your own personal experiences of dealing with people in a customer services sector or any setting that's similar to that, where they have been left frustrated or felt that the person they were dealing with didn't give them a quality of service, and examine why that was, and examine how much a part of that actually quite simply their voice was, and then apply some of that to their own corporate setting. Charismatic. Inspirational.